O Lord, how my adversaries have increased. Many are rising up against me. Many are saying of my soul, there is no deliverance for him in God. Selah. But you, O Lord, are a shield to me, my glory, and the one who lifts my head. I was crying to the Lord with my voice, and he answered me from his holy mountain. I lay down and slept. I awoke, for the Lord sustains me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O God, save me, O Lord, for you have smitten all my enemies on the cheek. You have shattered the teeth of the wicked. Wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. Your blessing be upon your people. Selah. Psalms chapter 3. Welcome back, everybody, to the number one podcast of the world, Confessions. Thank you for joining us today. It's a beautiful day, a great day to be alive. And man, this week has taught me a lot about being grateful. And I'm just excited to be here today, and excited to be here with my boys, as always. Well, Jerome, I think he's arriving here shortly. But as always, I'm your host, Father Derek, joined by Raju and brother Jerome. And I pray that today you're having a great day this evening. I hope that whatever time you're watching this, whether you're watching this on YouTube live after the fact, or if you're listening on Spotify, I hope that this message that we're about to share with y'all today will resonate with y'all, that it'll help empower you, help grow your faith, and so that you're able to lean on God more and just strengthen your relationship with him. At the end of the day, that's the entire goal of this podcast. And as much as it may help y'all, it also helps us as well, helps me. And it gives me that reminder. It's that constant reminder that God's always with us and God's always by our side. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some confessions. Hey, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you. What's the name on the it's all right. Appreciate you who just subscribed. We got the notification. Um, but we hope you're having a great night. And so you could be doing anything else. It's a Friday night. And so you could literally be doing anything else, but you're joining us. And so we appreciate it. But Raju, man, how you doing? How you doing this evening?
Man, I'm good. It's been a good week. How has the week been? Goodness, it kind of just flew by, if I'm being honest. I've just been in go mode most of the time, just doing the things I need to get done, and still trying to win. Still fighting, still battling. That's my motto as of recently, just war ready. Ready for whatever's to come, whether it's good, whether it's bad. And a lot of weight is being lifted up, I how I described it is I dug myself in a hole, and it's finally time that I dig myself out. And I spent a lot of time in that darkness building myself, being molded by it, to where eventually I could crawl out of it and show not only the world but myself, and even show God, like, God, look, like, thank you for the blessings, the lessons that you allowed me to go through. Look at all this wisdom. Look at the body I built. Look at the physique, the mental, the heart, the soul. All to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
You sound like Bane. Molded by the
Exactly.
I
That's
was
it.
like, what did I walk into? What's he over here talking about?
I'm not gonna lie though. Today, I was down terrible. Mud, and I was yearning. I'll go into more details after the pod with the boys, but I was yearning. I was down bad today. But
Brother Jerome, how you been?
yeah,
How you been,
Been
bud?
all right. It's been, I don't know, something about these past 2 weeks. I've been wicked. Like I can't get out of it. Like caught myself taking more naps than usual, and I was like, I haven't taken naps in the longest time. But now all of a sudden I'm like, man, I just want to get the day over with. I just want to go in my room and lay down. I'm I'm tired. It's just one thing after another. I'm like, I clear the to-do list a little bit just for it to grow 5 more heads, and I'm like, man, it's part of being the chosen one, a warrior, right? With the hydras, no matter how many heads you slay, they're just gonna keep popping up like weeds. But other than that, good. Trying to get this move in situated, finalized. That's the priority. And then right up next is my project that's due in 2 weeks. So I've been trying to put that together, fart something out, see what I can, you know, cook up. But to be honest, I've just been worrying about those two things really, the priorities. The other things are just gonna come. I mean, there's no way around them. I just gotta take them head on. But I just had kind of have like most important to least important, I guess you could say. It's like, oh, if we don't do it now, we're gonna be homeless type of thing. So, but it's been a lot. This week too. Um, just kind of dragged a little bit. But one thing I did appreciate about it is that it was finally cool for once. It gave me real big fall vibes because it was a little cloudy, a little bit of sprinkling, a little bit of wind. I was like, oh, this is it right here. Because it's like, I don't know, man. It's always like things can never just be easy, right? It's one thing after the other. I don't know if I told y'all, but like now I'm staying in a spot by myself, and the bathroom I was using has some plumbing issues, so it ended up getting like clogged. And I was like, oh, you know what? It's cool. I'll say something, but it's no big deal. I'll just use the other bathroom. Well, the other one just got clogged too. So now I'm like, bro, they got some plumbing issues going on here. Because then I was thinking about what you had said a while, like I think last week, and made a comment that it seems like I'm in an older building, and I'm like, okay, I think that's what the issue is because I'm like, man, my quality of sleep took a hit, so therefore my quality of life took a hit, so therefore all these other things are taking a hit because I'm unmotivated, I'm sleepy, I don't want to do nothing. All because it goes back as simply as just like how you're living. That it's a big deal. How comfortable you are. And it kind of got me thinking about the situation we're going with Raju. I'm like, man, just these 2 weeks I'm living kind of my performance had greatly decreased, but it's almost there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Once all this gets cleared up, hopefully it'll just be smooth sailing again, back into the routine. But right now, I think we're at a spot where it's it's going like this, but we got to get to that next step, and then we'll go from there. So from that transition's gonna be a little rough, as it has been, as for all of us.
Yeah, I mean it's just part of the growing pains, and but I'm excited too. Like I know there's a lot of things that are you know getting ready for us to conquer new territories. The map is getting bigger. We're getting more auto saves as we proceed forward, but that just comes along with more enemies, more the dragons to slay because it's unexplored territory, right? And so that means that we have to not. It's just we don't just walk in and it's cleared. We got to go in and clear it out and slay the beasts, the titans, and the hydras as you mentioned.
Yep.
And
It's the
it,
fun part.
yeah,
Just
it's like where
man,
where there's a one that you thought was a formidable foe, now there's a bigger one that's behind it, and then not only that, but there's multiple, and they just keep spawning
now
out of
you
nowhere.
surrounded, and that first one took all your energy. You're like, what? Okay, this is what it's gonna take then, I guess.
Yeah, but it's just pushing through perseverance. And yeah, man, this week it's been a weird week, a long, very busy week, but it's just you know every single time that we come in, I try to reiterate like just take it one day at a time, one day at a time, and you know I'm just trying to put one foot in front of the other, make sure that each day is I'm getting at least a little bit better. I'm getting where I can sleep and be proud of myself that I had a good productive day. As you like how you mentioned, haven't took a nap. I can't remember. It's been a while since I last took a nap. Um, but that's just a testament to how busy the days are. But also trying to stay grounded, stay stay rooted in who I am, and not be so overly consumed with the work. Like, as soon as it hits, you know, let's say 9 o'clock or whatever, 8 o'clock, then all right, that's it. Now it's time to go to the gym. I get out of the gym, and then that's the end of my day. And so, as opposed to before, where I would go work until 9:30, 10 o'clock, go to the gym, get out midnight, and then still have work to do. Now it's like, well, now I need to. I'm restructuring it so that kind of as you mentioned, optimizing my performance instead of just staying up so late just working. Actually, I set goals, I set tasks for every single day. If I hit him, great. If I don't, it's just fine. Pick it back up the next day. But having that little time to yourself at the end of the night, getting good rest, it's more important than you could really imagine until you're deprived of it. Then you realize, oh shoot, now I know why sleep is so important. Now I know why prioritizing my mental health is so important, because whenever those things are taking a hit, like you mentioned, it affects everything else.
Yeah, and still experiencing those every now and then. Not as bad as they could be, but they're still annoying to go through every now and then. It's part of the growing pains, like you mentioned. But other than that, been real good too. And then all of a sudden, it's like I woke up today, and now there's construction everywhere. So I had to take a lot of detours, and I'm like, oh man, now I'm gonna be late because there's like roadblocks that weren't there earlier in the week. Now they're there, and I'm like, here we go. Of course, it's can never be easy. Right when I'm going to the pod, I gotta find out there's construction here, find another way, or take me all the way around, and it's just part of the stuff I gotta get used to.
But it'll get easier as we get,
Yeah.
proceed forward and in the coming days. But yeah, man, I mean it's been a good week, but as I mentioned before, we have the opportunity to have the number one podcast of the world, Confessions. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify if you haven't already, and check out all of our socials. It's a very free and simple way to support us, support this channel, and support our mission. So if you resonate with that, I'll go ahead and give you an opportunity to do that. Alrighty, thank you. But let's go ahead and get into tonight's pod. So, Jeremy, I believe it's your turn to pray. And yeah, go ahead and get us started, man.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another day of life, for another opportunity to get better, and for another day doing the podcast. Number one podcast in the world. Subscribe if you haven't already. With here with my boys. A lot of growth, a lot of growing pains, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. We thank you for it all. We know it's going to be okay. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but that doesn't mean stop. We're ready for more titans and monsters and hydras to slay. We're ready for it all. We're ready for war. And we're going to do it all in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I feel like that's becoming the theme. Is ready for war. I feel like that's like the series theme.
We're ready.
But all right, I believe we are in 27. Yeah, I believe we're in Genesis 27, in the middle of it. So Genesis 27, chapter 30. For those of y'all that have y'all's Bibles with y'all's Bible app, y'all can open them. Just so that y'all know, I'm reading out of the NASB, the I think it's believed the North American Standard Bible or the New American, something like that. But the NASB. So if you want to read along in that Bible or whatever version you got handy, but um, right before this, I believe Jacob had deceived Esau once again actually, he deceived his dad. So his dad, of course, being Isaac, older in age, can't really see. He told his oldest son Esau to prepare him a meal. Go hunt some game, kill it, prepare it as a meal for him, and then he would be blessed. He would give him his blessing, the same blessing that God promised to Abraham, that God promised to Isaac. He was going to pass it on to his oldest son Esau. But his mother had heard this conversation going on between the two, and so she told the younger son, Jacob, that his father was going to give his older son a blessing by feeding him, his favorite meal. So she said that she would prepare it and that he should go and pretend to be his brother Esau and deceive his father so that he would receive the blessing that was meant for his brother Esau. And that's exactly what he did. So he deceived his father, stole Esau's blessing. This isn't the first time. This is actually the second time that he's done this. And so now we're proceeding forward. And yeah, we're starting with the stolen blessing. Chapter 27, verse 30. Now it came about, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had hardly gone out from the presence of Isaac, his father, that Esau, his brother, came in from his hunting. Then he also made savory food and brought it to his father. And he said to his father, "Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that you may bless me." Isaac, his father, said to him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am your son, your firstborn Esau." Then Isaac trembled violently and said, Who was he then that hunted game and brought it to me, so that I ate all of it before you came and blessed him? Yes, and he shall be blessed." When Esau heard these words of his father, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, "Even me also." Oh, wait. And said to his father, "Bless me, even me also, O my father." And he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and has taken away your blessing." Then he said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he has taken away my blessing." And he said, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" But Isaac replied to Esau, "Behold, I have made him your master, and all his relatives I have given to him as servants. And with grain and new wine I have sustained him. Now as for you then, what can I do, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father." So Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered him and said, "Behold, away from the fertility of the earth shall be your dwelling, and away from the dew, O heaven, from above. By your sword you shall live, and your brother you shall serve. But it shall come about when you become restless that you will break his yoke from your neck." So Esau bore a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing which his father had blessed him. And Esau said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." Now when the words of her elder son Esau were reported to Rebekah, she sent and called her younger son Jacob, and said to him, "Behold, your brother Esau is consoling himself concerning you by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee to Haran, to my brother Laban. Stay with him a few days, until your brother's fury subsides, until your brother's anger against you subsides, and he forgets what you did to him. Then I will send you and get you from there. Why should I be bereaved of you both in one day?" Rebekah said to Isaac, "I am tired of living because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife from the daughters of Heth, like these from the daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me?" All right, chapter 28. I'll read. Hit the camera. Jacob is sent away. So Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, "You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and from there take yourself a wife from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may become a company of peoples. May he also give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your descendants with you, that you may possess the land of your sojournings, which God gave to Abraham." Then Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there. And that when he blessed him, he charged him, saying, "You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan." And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan displeased his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and married, because of the wives that he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth. I'll just read it. Jacob's dream. Then Jacob departed from Beersheba and went towards Haran. He came to a certain place and spent the night there, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head, and lay down in that place. He had a dream, and behold, a ladder was set on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give it to you and your descendants. Your descendants will also be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west, and spread to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in you, your descendants, shall all be the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. He was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on its top. He called the name of that place Bethel. However, previously the name of the city had been Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and will keep me on this journey that I take and give me food to eat and garments to wear, and I will return to my father's house in safety, then the Lord will be my God. This stone which I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. Genesis chapter 28. Well, boys, initial thoughts?
Family drama right off the get with the brothers.
It's
That's
kind of
tough.
weird.
It happens a lot though. I mean, we've all been through it. Seems to happens with brothers a lot.
I don't really like how the mother is though.
Yeah, choosing
Yeah,
a
she's like
choosing a favorite in a way.
I don't want to necessarily say she's leading one astray, but because I believe everyone has a choice, but she doesn't. She's not influencing good. I think she's bad influence on what's his name, Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe at the end of the day, it's what God has in store for Jacob. I mean, I think he did say it at the beginning that one of the brothers would serve the other. So maybe this was how it was supposed to happen.
Or we could kind of think about it how God had promised Abraham the land, and he said, "Just go to a place that I will show you." And then Abraham kept on saying that his wife was his sister. You know, he did that twice, and then Isaac, he did the same exact thing. So maybe it's not the fact that that's how it was supposed to happen, but that's how they chose. Like that's the choice that they made to take to get there. Even though maybe if they didn't do it, God would deliver anyways. Because why wouldn't He? He delivered despite them, kind of going against what they know is right. So I think it's more of a God being, true to His word than their faulty. Yes, they're human, but God's still sticking by what He said. He promised.
Yeah, he's kind of just letting them do them
Yeah,
and leading them towards that.
yeah. I mean, he's being faithful to His word.
But yeah, I don't know. The mother, she's kind of like a red flag. I don't like her. I don't like her.
Me neither. But I wanted to get y'all's thoughts, or I wanted to ask y'all a question. Just naturally, I hear this dream right that we read at the end, and I was just wondering if y'all can relate, or if y'all have ever had a dream similar to that, where you felt like it was God showing you y'all's future, or it was God telling you, making a promise to you about how the rest of your life will be. I don't know if have you ever experienced anything like that. Me personally, I can't say off the top of my head that I've had a dream where I felt like God was speaking to me this clearly, but I would say that I've had like waking dreams where I felt like God was calling something on my heart, or maybe it wasn't Him visually like standing above me in my dream and talking down, but maybe it was Him just showing me things that I would like to have in my future. But I don't know if y'all have experienced that before, just hearing God's voice in that way.
I've never really experience anything like that. When people say like, "What's your dream?" I don't really snap to this bizarre, outlandish idea that some people might look at it and be like, "That's your dream. That's the common man's, achievement." That's not a dream. People think dreaming is like being a multi-billionaire or being like the most famous person on the planet, or every time you walk by everybody knows your name. Like that's most people's dream. Mine, and I've said it, is just having everything that I've never had as a kid, or doing better than my parents did for me, for my kids. I guess the only thing that I have as a dream is like, hey, like I have those late night talks with myself where I'm like, you know what, you're better than this. You have more potential. Why you slacking? I kind of do those little pep talks, but then I came across this statement. I think I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day where it said that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. And I don't know if it's like a negative way or a positive way, but it said something like where there's there's people out there less than half qualified than you, like they're half as qualified as you, doing what you want to do. And I'm like, there's people out there that, quote, aren't as qualified as me, doing what I want to do already, making the money, doing the job, having the lifestyle. And I'm like, why don't I have that yet? And it kind of gets me going, thinking about like, I'm single. I have no big bills. I'm doing this and that. Why don't I have a house yet? Why don't I have multiple cars yet? Why don't I have a big job yet? When I look at other people, and obviously comparison is a thief of joy, but I'm like, well, this person right here has 3 kids, and then there's their second relationship, and they have a house already. They have 2 cars. They have a good job. I'm like, what am I doing differently? But then when I read that comment, I'm like, you know what? There's God's not gonna put the idea for no reason in my head. It's in my head for a reason. If I apply myself and I do what I want to do, and there's people out there that are less qualified doing what I want to do, why not me? That's kind of the question that I kind of tell myself. Why not me? Why not us? Like, but as far as like I have the dream of like God standing over me, and I just see a sea of gold, or and it's all white and yellow. I don't really have dreams like that. It's more of realistic. Like, hey, this is what you want. It's what you're working for. Go get it now. I don't care how you do it. When you do it, just do it. That's kind of become my philosophy. And it was one of the things I've heard from my boss, mode boss that I worked with. I was doing carpentry. When anytime he gave me a task, and I'm like, man, I have no idea what this tool does, what this does. What am I doing? And these words kind of stuck with me. He's like, I don't care how you do it, just do it. And I'm like, you know what? You can apply that to everything now, with school, with finances, with relationships, with anything. It's like, I want it done by this day, like this, from this point on. All that time's yours. I don't care. Just do it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's my dream, I guess. Is just the simple life.
I think I don't know if I have like a very vague memory of potentially God talking to me, but the thing that I can think of is, for example, him just saying it's okay. Like it's okay, maybe, I don't know. I feel as if I have like a very, very distant memory in my mind. Could be wrong. But I also like to believe that God talks to me in visions, in the quote unquote dreams that we do have, and just being able to vision the kind of life that I'm going to have, the kind of person that I'm going to be, how people treat me, how people respect me, how they speak to me, um, the family that I'm going to build, the wealth, the abundance of wealth that I'll have, the wisdom I would have gained through all the experience that I've gone through. And I like to believe that God just speaks to me in that way. And I don't know. That's what I believe in. I believe in he speaks to us in dreams and these visions. And I there's no other explanation but God for me. And kind of similar to this, to these stories of Jacob and Esau and Isaac and Abraham, God promises you this certain thing or lifestyle or this outcome, right? But it's not always necessarily the way that you think it's going to happen. It never really is. But the craziest part of my life, like the highest of the highs, is when it does happen and you're just standing there, sitting there in awe because this is what God showed you.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds delusional, it may even sound crazy, but like I said, having those dreams, having those visions, and them come true, shit. Call me delusional all you want then.
Mhm.
But I like to believe that God speaks to us in dreams like that. And yeah, for me, I have like a very maybe vague memory of God potentially telling me, like, hey, it's okay, going through a dark time or whatever I
Mhm.
may be, and Him telling me it's okay. But I could be wrong. I'm not sure. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think he's never really talked to me like that. It's more of like um kind of vague, like you said, and
yeah.
it's more of like I don't know. I guess you would call them signs where I'm thinking about something or I'm talking about something and then like a week later or sometime I forget about it. It pops up again. You know, some of those experiences, but that's about as far as I would say.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Like that's guaranteed. Like I believe that's God, right? But for him to like come up to me and talk to me, it's maybe, I don't know. I'm
I
not sure.
wish maybe one
I'm
day.
not
I
sure.
hope. I know one day where I'm like, yeah, I can remember for sure that that's when it happened.
Yeah.
For a good reason, hopefully.
Yeah, good reason. But reading verse 16 and or chapter 28, verse 16 again, um, Jacob had awoken from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." To y'all, and of course those in the audience, have y'all ever been in a place and not know that God was there? Maybe you didn't sense it. Maybe you weren't paying attention. Maybe you were like kind of lost in all the heartache, all the pain, but you didn't realize that God was there with you the whole time.
Are you asking us? I can't say that. I can't say no to that because I believe that God is within us and God is always there. He's always watching over us, and even in those dark moments, especially in those dark moments where you're just going through it, maybe hell on earth for you. But I've always said that God's always been by my side, and I can go through anything and everything. So
I think it's one of those things where it's kind of just happening unconsciously, like breathing and blinking. I don't really even think about it. Like, oh, is he there? I just kind of know in the back of my mind he's always there. But I need to do better reminding myself that he's there, kind of actively saying it when I'm in situations that are a little bit sketchy. Like if I'm in a spot where I don't feel safe, or I'm seeing someone who's kind of throwing me off, being a little judgmental, or if I just feel in a situation where I'm uncomfortable and I'm like, oh, something's about to go down, I need to do better about reminding myself that I'm gonna be okay. He's with me, right? But it's kind of more of like nonchalant, more of like uh unconscious thing where I'm walking, just like I'm breathing, I know he's there, but I don't actively think about it. I mean, I could say too, like during those moments where you're at the wrong place or wrong time, and you come out unharmed, you can easily say that yeah, God was with me there because it could have easily been me that got hurt. That's the first example my mind goes to. I've never been in like an extreme one where I'm like, oh shoot, like oh I was about to die, but I've been in them like oh man I could have gotten really hurt, right, or something like that, but not an extreme one.
Well, I think back to whenever I had turned my back on God, right? And I was just kind of living life for myself. Um, I guess I'm sure there's audience members as well that could probably relate to asking that question, like, "Where are you, God? I don't see you here. I don't feel you here. Like, where were you, God, whenever I was depressed? Where were you, God, whenever I lost my family member? Whenever I lost my relationship? Whenever everything was going wrong in my life? Like, where were you? It didn't feel like you were there. Like you want me to believe that you're there, but there was no evidence to me at least that you were there for me. Like, how do you respond to those types of questions, and if you have gone through it, because like I said, I have been there before when I turned my back on God. And so I just wanted to see if what would y'all say and if y'all have ever thought those types of things.
Yes, I have gone through moments where I question and I doubt, but time after time, once again, he proves it. Like I said, when you're, in the wise words of the late Kobe Bryant, when you're carrying that cross and you can't pick it up no more, and he comes and picks it up for you, that's when you know. That's when you know, and that's why I'm so firm on me saying that God has always been there. God has always been there, even especially in those times of darkness, especially in those times. And yes, doubt can creep in. We're human, right? But like how I mentioned, when you can't carry that cross anymore and he comes and picks it up for you, that's when you'll know. And I've gotten to a point in my faith where, especially in those dark times, I understand that God, like, I know this doesn't feel good. I don't want to go through this, but I know you have a bit that your will, you have a better purpose than what I'm currently going through. So I understand that, and that's all thanks to me being able to grow in faith. And yeah,
What about for those people who haven't felt that cross be lifted, where it feels like the cross is getting heavier and they're left alone and they haven't had that experience of that cross being lifted off their shoulders by God?
I mean, what other choice do you have? That's how I see it. It might be blunt, it might be ugly, but what other choice do you have? It's either you be patient and you continue to keep moving forward and growing, or you quit and you give up. And then, I mean, I think that's the only two choices that you have. Like, you either quit and give up and you'll never be able to see the actual blessing on the other side, or you remain patient, you remain faithful, and you keep moving forward. So, that's my advice to those people. I know it may be very blunt, and you may try to form whatever excuse that you may have, but deep down in your heart, you know what an excuse is, and you know that you just need to keep moving forward. I think deep down in everyone's hearts, like it's that simple. You either quit or you keep going.
It really just comes down to that, right? What would you say to those people that just decide that they can't keep going?
If they can't keep going,
Like if they're like, I'm just done.
then you quit. And
Yeah.
it sounds ugly, like I get it, and I want to make this very clear. I understand it, but what other choice do you have? What other choice do you have? Are you just gonna allow yourself to this problem, this situation, just to steamroll through you, to run you over, and you just never get back up? I'm not saying life won't knock you down, because life doesn't work that way. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. It's not always butterflies. Life is very brutal. It's ugly. It hurts. It sucks majority of the time. Majority of the time. And there's a dark day coming for every single person on this world, in this world. But what other choice do you have? What other choice do you have? Because if you don't continue to remain patient, to continue to keep moving forward through whatever adversity it may be, big or small, you'll never move forward with your life. You'll remain stuck there. You may even degress. You may even go backwards. And like I said, big or small, and I want to make this very clear. I understand life can be ugly, losing a loved one, sickness, illness, health issues, whatever it may be. I understand it, but what other choice do you have? What other choice do you have? And I like to believe it. If you are a faithful person, you believe in God and you follow God, you'll understand that whatever adversity that you're actually going through, you'll understand deep down in your heart that there is a greater purpose behind it. It's not just the ugliness. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to reach the end of the tunnel, and God is waiting for you to bless you. I guarantee you it, and that's just what I believe in.
It's just yeah, a little difficult for people because I just kind of my I don't know why, but my first thought immediately went to suicide. You know, a little viewer discretion, right? But some people just feel like that's their only way out at that point, right? And is that to the extent of like, dang, I'm giving up? Maybe, right? But it's just tough. So I would just say first and foremost, what we're always saying, turn to God. And I know that's you know cliche and easier said than done, but it really is. Because I mean, it's just yeah, just keep opening my mind. I've never had an original experience because I've been the type where I've questioned God. I'm like, oh, if this don't happen, you hate me. You don't exist. Yeah, you know whatever. You know, I would say mean things. I was a mischievous, ignorant little kid. I didn't know any better. Wasn't really going to church. I didn't really take it that seriously. So I was in a way like, what's the word, blasphemy? Stalking mess towards God. Like, oh, you know, if this don't happen tomorrow, I'm not gonna pray, or I'm not gonna go to church, or I'm not gonna, you know, thank you, stuff like that, little petty stuff. And then I got older, and I'm like, dang, there's a lot more to this life stuff than Call of Duty and you know school and girls. I'm like, there's a whole lot more to this. Like I'm getting mad because this girl they don't want to go on a date with me, so I'm not going to church next Sunday. Meanwhile, I got older, and I'm like, man, where's my next, you know, paycheck gonna come from? Where am I gonna take a shower? Where am I gonna do clothes? Where am I gonna, you know, where am I gonna do this? Where am I gonna do that? And at that point, I've experienced where I'm like, yeah, man, come on, where you at, God? You know, I had this big old plan lined out for me. I had, you know, I was gonna be do this by this age, be married by this age, this many kids, this many properties, and the complete opposite at the same timeline. And I'm like, all right, something's went wrong here, very wrong. And coming from a person like me who had like you know, the biggest vision for myself at a young age, not knowing that the real world is gonna like up, slap me a few times and like, nah, that's not what's gonna happen, right? Until I got back in the gut, until we started talking about it, when we shifted the dynamic and you know, did a better message. That's when my life was like, whoa, okay, maybe this was the missing puzzle. Maybe why is everything going good all of a sudden? I was just so used to being comfortable eating shit. You know, I was okay with being a bum, being a loser. I was fine with that. You know, I wanted to be that at that point. And then, you know, as things started getting better, I'm like, whoa, why am I getting happier? Why am I, you know, taking a shower now? Why am I getting a haircut? Why is my hygiene coming back into play? Why am I getting sleep? And it all the common denominator for all of that was this. And that's my testimony. You know, I've talked about it a lot. Where that one year I ate like the most shit ever, and I'll never want to go back. But the difference between before that happened and when that happened, and so why it hasn't happened now, or I maybe approached it better now, is the word, and that's all I can say about it.
No, and I think that's powerful. And I think what you had mentioned, I feel the same way because I had set the same sort of standards for myself. By this age, I was going to accomplish so much, and then it didn't happen. So you had said something. You said that, well, I guess I was wrong, and I don't even think that you were wrong. I think your perspective wasn't right. So you were never making the correct assumption in the first place because you were going based off of what you had, maybe seen online, or maybe you were, underestimating how difficult life actually is. But it's not that that vision was wrong. It's that God's path was just different, and that's the right path, right? Because I think we could easily, as you mentioned, it's funny because of how simple it is, how easy it is to be a bum, how easy it is to just clock in, clock out, maybe drink throughout the weekends.
How comfortable you get
Yeah,
just wanting to do it too. Like
it's
it's like,
it's like something that you could easily fall back on. It's an easy cycle to fall into. Like I said, that we've been there before. It's a it's a lot easier to live that lifestyle because it doesn't force you out of your comfort zone. It doesn't force you to grow. It doesn't really do anything for your life. It's not positive. It's not, I mean, I would say it's negative. Some people would say maybe it isn't, but it's just something that you could fall into, and it's just it's just becomes life. It just becomes what you do, and that's why it's so easy, because you're not living for anything. When you're not living for anything except the next thing that can satisfy you, well then you have no reason to wake up early. You have no reason to be, locked in on your diet, to be locked in the gym. You have no reason to have any ambition, any big goals, any accountability for yourself, because why does it matter if the only thing that matters is the next satisfaction, the next pleasure? It doesn't matter. You're just living for yourself. You're living a hedonistic lifestyle where it's all about you pleasuring yourself. And so whenever you decide to shift your mindset and start pursuing something greater than yourself, now you have that reason to wake up early. Now you have that reason to make sure that you're on your diet, make sure that you're in the gym, make sure that you're growing not just your mental, not just your physical, but growing your spiritual as well. But that's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to hold yourself accountable. It's a lot harder to stay disciplined and stay consistent. But whenever you're living the other lifestyle, it may be easier, but it's not fulfilling at the same time. It's like that person who's only obsessed with money. Well, you'll never be the richest person in the world. There's always someone else that's climbing and climbing, and someone's always going to be more successful than you. Someone's always going to be bigger than you, stronger, faster, whatever. So, whenever you're chasing, objects or things, that that's never going to fill the hole inside of you, and so you're just going to be left feeling empty, feeling like there's always something else that you could be chasing, instead of having a sense of direction and finding fulfillment in the life that, even if it is simple, it's the life that God has blessed you with. And so I think, yeah, I like what you said though.
I like the now for sure. The difference is that I know that there's a path. I see the tunnel vision. Like okay, because another piece of advice that I've gotten too, and it's weird because I just get these like weird statements or people I hear people talking and or read them, and they just kind of stick with me, like little things that just kind of I'm like, oh, that's a really good piece of advice. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, or even I remember you saying something about like this life is called the game of life. It really is. Right? And they were saying something that you got to look at what you're doing as a career. Don't look at it as a job. Don't look at it as something I have to go do. Look at it as a career. You know, because people get up in this dilemma of like it has to be one or the other. Either I get, for example, going to school. This is because this is where I learned it, right? Why do I have to just get a bachelor's? Why can't I get a bachelor's and a certificate and an associate's and a minor? Why does it just have to be one or the other? Why not just fill up my resume? Why not build a career? Oh yeah, I got a minor here. I got two certificates here. I'm certified in CPR and phlebotomy here. Got a bachelor's here, but I'm going for masters. Just kind of build it up like, for real estate. And why not just be a real estate person? Why not go be a personal trainer maybe? And these are kind of just like little things adding, I guess, achievements or titles to your name, credentials in a way. And I'm like, okay, that kind of opens up the perspective a little bit because I'm like, oh, I'm just going to school just for a bachelor's. No, you're going to school for, with the credentials, MD and whatever, or, certified in phlebotomy. You can take blood, you can give blood, or business. You're stockbroker, part-time stockbroker. My sister too. She's even decided to dabble in tax stuff out of nowhere, right? She has this friend that she makes pretty good money doing tech stuff. So my sister was like, one day, like, let me learn it, let me try it. So now she's a manager for HR. She's trying to dabble in tax stuff. Has that little business for my niece, the pancakes, and then she does pictures on the side. I'm like, for her age, she's doing really good, and she just keeps adding. And I'm like, that's what we gotta look at life as a career. But I'm gonna set a fire real quick too, kind of stir up the pot. I had mentioned too earlier that it feels like I'm just gonna kind of say like what you were describing, the bum lifestyle, just going to work, getting a paycheck, living comfortably, going out every now and then, having a beer, cigarette, wife and kids. Why does it feel like, in my opinion, to me, why does it feel like the bums are doing better than me when I feel like I'm going a different path? That's like, hey, why don't I have a house? Why don't I have a car? Why don't I have a wife and kids? Why are they able to afford all this and I'm gonna break the bank just applying for an apartment? I've always wondered that too, because I've even seen it with my brother. My brother had friends where They had a wife and kids, and they had houses and cars and this and that. My brother in a single and just was barely living in an apartment. Why does it feel like bums are doing better lately, or why does it feel like that sometimes? That's just real quick, cause I'm kind of.
How I see it, everyone's trying to play the game quick. Everyone's just trying to get everything quick. And I don't know, I just have this perspective of like that's easy. Like, oh, you got married with that girl, that's easy. Oh, you had kids already, I can do that too. Oh, you got a car, shit, I can do that too. Like that's easy. That car, simple, easy. Oh, that house, I can do that too, easy. That career, cool, easy. But me being me, I want big.
You don't like easy,
I
as
don't
we
like
know.
easy. And that big lifestyle doesn't come easy. Let's be honest, it doesn't. That's why like everyone likes living down here, but I like living up here, you know? And to make my point, it's quick and easy to achieve those things in my opinion. Or to settle down to this, that, whatever it may be. But for me at least, I want big. And I understand to achieve big, I have to invest more time. I have to invest more effort. I have to have a higher standard for myself to achieve that. And will that take more time? Obviously. Like you're investing more, right? Your investment's way more. So that's going to take a longer time to see eventually a return. And yeah, life can go by like that. We're not promised tomorrow. But at the same time, we do have roughly 80 years on this earth, roughly. Just use them correctly. And that's why I'm so adamant about not wasting time. Don't waste your time, for example, on this bum lifestyle. Don't waste your time doing that. Like you can achieve so much better. You can get so much better. But at the end of the day, to each their own. Some people do want to have kids right away. Some people do want to get married right away. Some people, I don't want to say they get lucky, but hey, they end up getting a good girl. They end up working it out correctly and they get married at 20, 19, 20. Good for them, but everyone's on different time paths. But something that I do have a problem with is actually social media. They trick us. People trick us and try to
True.
flex a certain lifestyle that they don't necessarily have, bro. And they try to make it seem like they're wealthy, they have the money, they have the cars. In reality, it's not even their car. In reality, uh, they don't have money like that. In reality, they're working uh, a dead end job or a very difficult job to make ends meet. Like, I, with social media, you can portray anything, but to each their own. That's how I see it. Some people want the simple life. Some people want the big life. Some people want the bum life.
Yeah, it's just weird because, like I said, these past few weeks have been a little bumpy, and it does get a little discouraging when I see like I'm like, man, where's my bum cousin with two baby daddies going on their fourth trip of the summer, working at Walmart, and I'm like fighting for my life doing this project where it's like, oh, like it's just that like little thing,
Something
and I,
I, something I like. I don't mean to cut you off, but something I also like to ask myself is one, would I like to be like that person? Two, would I like to live their life? Majority of the time, no. I've yet to meet a person in IRL that I would be like, damn, like I'd live their life. Like that'd be cool,
it's a good question to start asking. Yeah.
you know? And yeah, I mean, I think it's a good
Yeah,
question.
I do want to clarify when we say bum. That I mean, I think we're relating more to the simple life, not a bum. Because when I think of a bum, I think of like a dead, like a guy who just has a
Deadbeat.
deadbeat. That's when I think
Yeah.
of a bum. I think we're talking more about the
We're
simple
kind of
life.
broadening bum a little
Yeah,
bit.
broadening bum, but it does not mean to say that if you're just living a normal life that you're a bum. you know.
Yeah, we'll preference that real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause that's go in the beginning. I was like, I'm just gonna say it, bum, right? Cause I'm like, what do I call that? Like normal?
No, but even the bums like you're mentioning, but I think Raul hit it
Yeah,
right
they're
on the nail.
included in it as
Raul
well.
hit it right on the nail. It's chasing something that's difficult to achieve. It's going to require you're going to have to endure some struggle, some pain, adversity, cuz when you think about it, living life on easy mode, you're not going to be able to grow at all. There's no possible way for you to get better whenever you're living a life that doesn't require you to do better. So when you're living a life that isn't challenging you at all, you're gonna stay the same level. And most of the times just staying the same level will equate to you regressing because if you're not growing, we're always dying. So we got to do our best to, make the most and maximize our stats while we're alive because all of our life force, our energy is always draining. So I think that's the thing too is Raul, like I said, he hit it right on the nail. Like I wouldn't want to live anyone else's life. I want to live my life. And I want to do the best I can to make my story as incredible as possible so that whenever I'm, at my ripe age of 35, 40 years old and wise and, still in my prime, hitting my prime or, you know, I want people to look at me and say, "Man, I want his life." Kind of how we talked about how we've been able to look at some people, maybe not in IRL. I think I've met I would say that my broker is a person that I would say, man, I really like her lifestyle. I could live her life, but meeting more people who are like that and being able to say like, man, I want their life. Imagine whenever you're the person on the other side of that who people are looking at and saying, man, I wish I had your life.
Also, I know we've mentioned this or we've spoken about this. Taking inspiration from the man himself, Jesus Christ. When did he start his ministry?
That kind of crossed up my mind too. It's
You
like,
know what I'm saying?
I guess I'll just wait till I'm 30 then,
Yeah.
man. Start
Just
living it up.
just keep chasing that dream. Keep chasing that goal, bro. Keep trying to grow. That's my advice to anyone and everyone, whatever it may be, big, simple. Shit, I hope you're not chasing a bum life, but to each their own, right? Just keep chasing after it, keep growing, and your time will eventually come. Keep hitting those reps. Like they're bound to pay off.
Uh-huh.
And for some people, it may be 20. Some people maybe 25. For others 30, 35, maybe even 40, And like I said, that's I think a problem that we especially have nowadays because of social media. Everyone tries to portray it as if they got it like that.
Yeah.
Majority of people don't have it like that. I think like the average, let's just talk about money. The average millionaire um is like 40,
I think it's 50s. I think they're in the
40,
50s.
50. It's like up there, but
Yeah.
obviously social media is portraying it to where 18, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, they have it like that right away. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, would I want their life? Would I want to be like them? Personally, no, because if you get rich at such an early age, you won't be able to experience all the lessons that it took to achieve that rich. You just got, for example, a quick crypto pump and dump, or you got blessed with wealthy parents. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. That's an interesting life we live.
Yeah, and I think uh I would prefer to be a godly man than a rich man because I think being a godly man makes you rich in many other ways than just financially because we all know that money doesn't solve all your problems, money doesn't give you salvation, but by being a godly man, God will put you down a path that can make you that way. It's just a matter of if that's something that God has destined for you or not. But some people have that spirit inside of them that can make those big dreams a reality that can be business minded, and I believe that's something that you can ask God for, even if you're not someone who is naturally the type of person that can think like an entrepreneur or has those visions and goals. I think you can ask God to help give you those types of things. I mean, He has said it before: ask and you shall receive, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be given unto you. And so I think if you're the type of person that maybe struggles to see yourself in that way, start to ask God to give you the ability to start seeing yourself as someone, you know what? Maybe I need to stop being so short sighted. Let me think bigger. Maybe for YouTube, for example, right? Let's not think about, well, I want to hit 1,000 subscribers. Let's go ahead and start thinking about what we're going to do whenever we hit 100,000 subscribers. Let's already start thinking about what we're going to do whenever we hit 1,000,000 subscribers. What are we going to do after YouTube? What type of business are we going to create that's going to make us hundreds of millions of dollars? Like, let's start thinking long term, 10 years, 20 years from now, and stop being so short sighted and thinking about, like I said, it's the short hits of dopamine, it's the little satisfaction, the little pleasures. Let's start thinking long term. Let's start thinking not just, hitting 1,000, but hitting 1,000,000. And I think that's something that you could ask God for in your own personal life is, God, I want to be able to think and believe in myself that I can do more. I can have it. But if you don't have that naturally in you, I think that's something that you can ask God for. But
Uh, I know this story vaguely, honestly, but I think it was Solomon, maybe. But he didn't ask for God to give him riches. He didn't ask God to give him like the land, the animals, the wives. He asked God for wisdom. And then with time passing, eventually all that wealth did come into fruition. And something that I learned from Alex Hermosi is, and Tristan Tate is, yeah, we have all those big dreams and goals. Man, I want to be a multimillionaire. Oh, I want to build such a big business. Alex Hermosi says, okay, well, first learn how not to be poor. First learn how not to be poor. Okay, what does a poor person do? He fucks off his money. He does this, he does that. Okay, I shouldn't do that. And then eventually you'll learn, hey, this is what the right thing is to do. And also with Tristan Tate, he says, yeah, we all have these big, huge dreams, right? Instead of trying to make 1,000,000 in the first month, okay, let's cut it down, cut that goal down smaller. Let me try to make 10,000 a month. Boom. Okay, hey, I reached this goal. Let me shoot for 20. Boom. 50. Boom. And then you got to take it step by step, and just being patient. And I really like the fact that that prayer, I don't know if it's Solomon, but him praying to God and asking for wisdom, and eventually all the wealth did come because he was granted that wisdom in order to build and achieve the kingdoms, the riches, the family. And I think that's a beautiful story.
yeah, and I think it's kind of how you touched on a bit earlier, but like I look at people who have gotten the riches, but they gotten it in a way that I would be ashamed of, making a fool of myself, doing things that I know that aren't of God. It's pretty much as we touched on in Mark, this previous stream that we did. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? I do not want to be the type of person that loses myself, that sells my pride, my dignity, my faith, just so that I could receive these, little satisfaction, the little hits of dopamine, the pleasures, the whatever it might look like. I would rather be able to maintain myself, and whenever judgment day comes, I can look in the face of God and say, you know what? Maybe I wasn't the most rich person. Maybe I didn't, achieve all the goals that I had set for myself. But at the end of the day, I was just trying to be more like you. I wanted to be like Jesus. And that in and of itself will give me the ability to hold my head high, even if I don't reach all the goals. Because you know what I mean? We've set so many things for ourselves, as you alluded to, Jeremy. And how many did we hit at this age? Probably mostly none of them, right? Because we set
None.
such high standards for ourselves. But at the least, you know what? I can still hold my head high. Say, you know what? Maybe I didn't hit the goals that I set for myself at 25, but life doesn't end at 25. I still got so many years left ahead of me. I'm still young. I see old heads at the gym and they're like, "Man, you're so young. You're still like a kid." And in a way, it's hard for me to look at it like that, but they're right. God willing, I have another solid 75 years left in me, if not more. If I hit that much, great. If I don't, then I can still hold my head high, because at least I could say to myself, I haven't sold myself out. I still have my integrity. I still have my pride, and I'm doing things the way that I believe God wants me to do it. And if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. If not, then I'm still doing just fine. I can rest at peace at night, knowing that I'm still me. I'm still Derek. I haven't sold myself, and I can say that God. I hope at least that God will recognize me at the gates whenever I reach it.
That's the plan. It's for sure. It's like if I was on my way now, I for sure am now. Cause I feel like I'm more. It's weird. Uh, uh, it's weird to explain because I feel like I'm more closer to my goals now at an older age than I was when I was younger when I had that prime opportunity to like go whatever direction I decided. Messed it up completely. What happens? But I still feel like I'm closer to my goals now at this age than I was when I had that platter handed to me. Like, okay, now what college you want to go to, or what do you want to wear? You know, when you had it handed to you, and you mess it up, of course. Now you got to rebuild it, and okay, now I guess the difference comes in where you had to work for it now. You had to build everything up rather than like, all right, here's your ticket to the real world. And I think that's one thing that high school messes up on is I don't think they prepare kids for the real world at all. Especially for me, like I graduated during COVID, so it was weird. It was like school one week, real life next week, you know. And then we're like, we didn't have the tools or nothing to navigate it, so having to build up in that. But I can honestly say that I do feel a lot more closer to my goals now than I did then.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a little bit further in a way, I guess you could say, right?
The goals have shifted, and
Yeah, the
the path
goalposts.
the path has extended, but at the same time we know that we're strong enough to walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil, for God is with us. He is his rod and his staff comfort us. And yeah, man, it's interesting how you mentioned, because in a way I feel like this is where my life was supposed to be at from a child, but I didn't want it. It's like I knew that this was the life God called me for, but I did not want to live this life. If that makes sense. Like whenever I was, kind of
Little, like
going
you were like the
going
Jonah and the
further away.
whale.
Yeah, literally, I've said that stuff before. I relate to that story so much because I always knew this is where God had called me, but I just wanted to run away from it. I didn't want to accept the fate that God had set for me. But now that I'm following it, it's like, man, I was going the path of most resistance, bro. I was going the opposite way of the stream. The stream was pulling this way. I was going this way, and God was the whole time. He was telling me like, why are you making it so difficult? Why are you taking the long route? And it just took me touching the stove over and over and over again to finally realize, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't touch that stove. Let's go ahead and start going upstream instead of going, or start going downstream instead of going upstream. It's just interesting how life works out like that.
Even for me too. There for a minute, you had me like surprised and shocked. I'm like, what? Derek's making God jokes, like the complete opposite of what I was used to growing up. Like you were so into it, and then, uh, and then that one day randomly, I would just hear you say, "There is no God. I'm God." I'm like, whoa. And I know you were just joking, but I'm like, okay. At that moment, I knew that's when we were all kind of just doing our own thing, thinking we knew it all. But I was like, yeah, I remember specifically in my head too when that little shift happened back and forth.
Yeah, I'm
Because you were real into
not
Rick
proud
and
to say
Morty.
so. Yeah,
You were real into Rick and Morty,
that's I know.
and that's where a lot of the ideas came from.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not proud of those moments, but it's part of my story. But it's just not being that person ever again. Because let me tell you, that was the worst time of my life, and you know, it's just not something that I look back fondly. But it's part of my story, so you know, we're all human, and it's kind of how you mentioned or you touched, like alluded to. It's the comeback story. It's the underdog story. Who wants to, who wants to get everything handed to you on a silver platter? That's not a fun. It's not a fun movie to watch.
And I had this conversation with someone this past week too. They were kind of bummed out about a decision that they got, and I was like, well, they kind of thought like, oh, my life's over, or whatever, this and that. And I'm like, how, although fun and exciting, how boring would it be though if we got everything we tried on our first try? And I was like, that's no fun. Where's the challenge? Where's the? It's like, who's to say you won't get it on your second or third try? I mean, it's exciting to get it on your first try every now and then, but it takes away the excitement and the fun trying and trying
The
and trying.
chase.
Jay.
It's the chase. But all right, we went on for a while, so let's go ahead and finish by reading Mark chapter 9. We'll just do chapter 9. I say I'll split it right in half. There's 50 verses.
How many is that? Bro.
50 divided by 2?
Yeah.
25.
So one of y'all does 25, the other does 25.
You wanna go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
It's number 9, right?
We're on
Yeah.
oh yeah, for those of y'all.
What?
you ask me like that?
What?
It's like you're like a circus monkey or something like that.
Did he not know?
Someone type clap in the or dance in the comments. Someone say dance in the comments.
But
Yeah, start dancing.
yes, we're in Mark chapter 9 and
Just like I looked at you like.
Bro, what?
know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he said something crazy.
26.
6, 7.
and this would be a great time for y'all to hit the subscribe button, follow, or if you're listening on Spotify, hit that follow button, share it with your friends and family. Number one podcast in the world.
Mark chapter 9. And he said to them, Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see that the kingdom of God has come with power. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain, where they were all alone. There he was transfigured before them. His clothes became dazzling white, whiter than anyone in the world could bleach them. And there appeared before them Elijah and Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. He did not know what to say. They were so frightened. Then a cloud appeared and covered them, and a voice came from the cloud. This is my son, whom I love. Listen to him. Suddenly, when they looked around, they no longer saw anyone with them except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus gave them orders not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. They kept the matter to themselves, discussing what rising from the dead meant. And they asked him, Why do the teachers of the law say that Elijah must come first? Jesus replied, To be sure, Elijah does come first and restores all things. Why then is it written that the Son of Man must suffer much and be rejected? But I tell you, Elijah has come, and they have done to him everything they wished, just as it is written about him. When they came to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them, and the teachers of the law arguing with them. As soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were overwhelmed with wonder and ran to greet him. What are you arguing with them about? He asked. A man in the crowd answered, Teacher, I brought you my son, who is possessed by a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive out the spirit, but they could not. You unbelieving generation, Jesus replied. How long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me. So brought him. When the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, How long has he been like this? From childhood, he answered. It has often thrown him into a fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. If you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. Immediately, the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief.
Then it came out, shrieking and throwing him into terrible convulsions. The boy became like a corpse, so that many said, He's dead. But Jesus, taking him by the hand, raised him, and he stood up. After he had gone into the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" And he told them, "This kind can come out by nothing but prayer." Then they left that place and made their way through Galilee, but he did not want anyone to know it. For he was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after he is killed, he will rise 3 days later." But they did not understand this statement, and they were afraid to ask him. They came to Capernaum. When he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they were silent, because on the way they had been arguing with one another about who was the greatest. Sitting down, he called the 12 and said to them, "If anyone wants to be first, he must be last and servant of all." He took a child, had him stand among them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one little child, such as this in my name, welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but him who sent me." John said to him, "Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he wasn't following us." "Don't stop him," said Jesus, "because there is no one who will perform a miracle in my name who could soon afterwards speak evil of me. For whoever is not against us is for us. And whoever gives you a cup of water to drink in my name, because you belong to Christ, truly I tell you, he will never lose his reward. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to fall away, it would be better for him to if a heavy millstone were hung around his neck and you were thrown into the sea. And if your hand causes you to fall away, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed than to have two hands and go to hell, the unquenchable fire. And if your foot causes you to fall away, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life lame than to have 2 feet and be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to fall away, gouge it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into hell, where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if the salt should lose its flavor, how can you season it? Have salt among yourselves and be at peace with one another. Mark chapter 9. Hmm.
You skipped one. You skipped one verse.
I
Did
skipped.
you notice that?
When
did.
Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. "You deaf and mute spirit," he said, "I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well,
skipped it.
I didn't. I understand because you started at 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
stopped at
stopped at
25.
20. Yeah, I stopped right before 25.
Oh, so you didn't read
Like I
25?
read 24 and then I just stopped and I was gonna allow you to start at 25.
So who was the one that goofed there? Did
I
he
don't know.
stop? Did he stop earlier or I started late?
I think he was. Well, honestly, it's both y'all's faults.
I'll take it.
I'll take responsibility. No, it's okay, bro. I'll take responsibility. That's on me.
Bro,
No,
you're
bro,
gonna
it's on me,
let him
bro.
little bro you like that
It's on me,
by
bro.
taking
It's
responsibility.
on me. It's okay, bro. It's on me. It's on me.
Alright,
It's okay, bro. I
But
got you.
I didn't even realize that.
Were you not reading along, Jerome?
I know that's what I was about to say. Like, bro, were you not reading? Like, if you were just reading along, you would have noticed this.
Well,
So that's why I say it's not like
I looked
it's
up
both
at
y'all's-
you. Like I looked up to see if anyone noticed. I was like this.
I thought I was low key trying. I was like, "Where's he at?" I
Yeah.
was like,
You skipped it.
You skipped. Yeah, you
That's
skipped the
funny.
whole verse.
No, because I didn't even realize it. I just kind of went on autopilot mode.
Yeah.
Started reading.
But
But anyways, we saw two major, maybe three, but it starts off by Jesus saying, "Truly I say to you, there are some of those who are standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God after it has come with power." And then Jesus took Peter, James, John, and put them on a high mountain, and he was transfigured before them. And I don't know about you, but when I hear transfigured, I kind of think of that scene from Spy Kids 3, whenever the chosen one, the silver one, like starts beaming with light. I don't know if y'all remember the movie, but it's
Which
like
one is it?
Spy Kids 3, Game Over. It's the one where they do all the
were they in the video game?
yeah, where they're in the
the-
video game and the chosen one spawns in. It's just like a beam of
The
light.
guy.
The guy.
The
The
guy.
guy,
I remember.
not the guy. No, it's elite ball knowledge, but that's what I remember. Funny enough, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because they literally saw Elijah and Moses. And I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with Elijah yet. We haven't read about him. We won't read about him for a little while. But Elijah was one of the most powerful prophets in the Old Testament and is one of the few prophets. I think it's only Moses and Elijah that never died. They got taken up into heaven, and Elijah, I believe, was taken into heaven by a chariot. And so he never experienced death. He actually just God just kind of picked him up and took him to heaven, similar to Moses. Moses was on the top of a mountaintop and never came back. God had just taken him up into heaven. So that's why when they talk about Elijah as such a powerful figure in the Old Testament, that's why he performed so many miracles. He was one of the strongest men of God, and so much so that he never even died a true death. He just got ascended into heaven. And so the fact that they saw these two powerful figures who never actually died, it's I don't know. I don't know if that's something that is there to kind of pick at, but they are two very powerful prophets from the Old Testament. But after that, I think it's interesting because what do you think it means? I'm just gonna ask y'all. What do you think it means? And so those of y'all that are in the audience, Jesus kind of says it, but why couldn't the disciples cast out the demon from this man's child? What was that? What was the reason?
That's a good question. I never really thought about why they wouldn't be able to. Wouldn't it just be so? Was there other prophets out there that were also doing miracles? That's what we just got done saying, right? Like there was other people out there.
Oh yeah, bro. In the Old
Yeah.
Testament, I mean, you know the story of Moses where he parts the
No.
Red Sea. Everyone knows that. But yes, historically there are prophets that have done crazy miracles. For example, one of the most famous ones for Elijah is that there was a bunch of people that were worshiping Baal, or was it Moloch? It was one of the Old Testament, one of the other false gods, and they were praising him and worshiping him. And a lot of the things that they did was like cut themselves, baby human sacrifice, things like that. And they were challenging Elijah to demonstrate that his God was real. And so Elijah set a challenge forth and said for them to build an altar out of wood, and that if their God was real, that their God would set it would set the thing on fire, right? And so they prayed, they cut themselves, they did whatever they did to their what's it called, rituals were, and nothing happened. So then after that, Moses said, "You know what? Not only am I going to have this wood altar, I want y'all to pour water all over it." So they soaked it, drenched it in water, and then immediately, as soon as he called upon God, God sent a lightning bolt, struck the wood, and it set ablaze. And they were like in fear of this dude demonstrating the fact that God was real. That's just one example of Elijah. So
So to answer
Yeah.
your
Puts
question,
it into perspective.
to
Yeah.
answer your question, I believe it's because they don't truly believe, and the reason why I say this is because that father brought his son, and he tried asking the disciples, "Hey, your disciples could not drive the spirit out." And Jesus replied right away, saying, "You unbelieving generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." And then a little bit further down, Jesus asked him, like, how long has he been like this? And his father replied to him, saying, the father replied, saying, from childhood, it has often thrown him into fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. And then Jesus replied right here, if you can, he asked him that. And then he said, everything is possible for one who believes. So that's for me reading. That's my answer.
Okay.
I'm assuming that.
It's a good answer.
I'm assuming that.
I was also going along the lines of like it is in the beginning, but it could also be that human nature that we keep talking about and going back to where they're not fully invested in it, even though they've been seeing it all with their own eyes countless times, but they're still having that doubt. Goes back to what you were saying about like they don't 100% believe yet. And this is also like I mentioned, still kind of in the beginning, right? I do remember a lot of these stories from Matthew as we came across them, so that's what I would say too, is that they're still fresh in their relationship with him.
I think that it's definitely a combination of what you are saying. I love both of y'all's answers. But in my mind, I also think back to the fact that this demon, right, this unclean spirit, had been tormenting this boy since he was a child, like since we were very young, right? And the first time I imagine these disciples are going up to this boy and this father who's pretty much grieving, like, please help my son out.
Only
And they try to cast this demon out, and then it doesn't work the first time, right? Maybe it doesn't work the second time. That's whenever the doubt and the unbelief starts to creep in, and they start thinking, well, why can't I cast this demon out? Maybe they've cast them out in the past, but they couldn't get this one. And Jesus kind of gives us an answer here. By the end of it, he says, this kind cannot come out by anything but prayer. So maybe they tried speaking out against it, but Jesus saying that was good for your first attempt, but now you got to try to do more. And in Matthew specifically, there's another story that's similar to this. It might be this one, but he even says that there was a demon that was so difficult for them to cast out that they couldn't, and Jesus said that this one cannot be casted out by anything but prayer and fasting. So sometimes there's demons, there's things that we encounter that we think that we're going to be able to cast out just by our own raw strength. But what Jesus is saying is that sometimes there's some obstacles that are going to come up against us that we can't just expect to break through like that. Sometimes it's going to take prayer. Sometimes it's going to take fasting. Sometimes it's going to take time, because guess what? Prayer takes time. Fasting takes time. So we want that immediate gratification. As we mentioned, I want to cast that demon out today, but God is telling us, Jesus is telling us, no, some things it's going to take more than just that. You have to be willing to get more than just that. And so that's a big part of why the disciples were unable to cast this demon out, was because their faith was low, and two, they didn't do the prayer, they didn't do the fast, they didn't do that. They just kind of,
So would prayer be more as if? Because when I think of prayer personally, I think of me speaking to God,
what's going on, Socrates?
whether it's me showing gratitude towards God, or me even asking God a question, or just having a conversation. So would prayer be like more of a request, like, hey, God, could you cast out this demon? Or would it be more like, what does it mean?
I think prayer in that way, yes. I think it's just reiterating what God has said already. For example, it says that by his stripes we are healed, that we are, as his creation, he will protect us, he'll provide for us. I think it's not just praying and requesting things from him, but it's reminding us and also mentioning to God that we have faith in what he has told us, right? Because we read Psalms, we read Proverbs, and he tells us how he's going to take care of us, he'll provide for us. If he takes care of the birds, if he puts dew on the grass, then will he not provide for us? If we have the faith as small as a mustard seed, can we not move mountains? He's told us these things to be true. I didn't say those things. God said those things. So whenever I'm in prayer and I'm asking for this person to be healed, it says, God, as long as we have faith as small as a mustard seed, we can move mountains, so you can heal this person. It says that where two or more are gathered, you are in our midst. It says by your stripes we are healed. So it's not me just making requests and saying, God, do this thing because I want it. It's more saying, God, you said this thing and I believe it to be true. So God, cast this demon out, and I say it in your name by your word. So I think in that case, it's more of just saying, God, this is what you promised. So, I'm asking you, can you come through on this promise? You know what I mean? But yeah, I think people can get that confused as far as like, well, are you just requesting things from God? Yes, but also no, because we're not requesting anything from God that he hasn't promised to us already. He promised us these things. He said these things, and it even says that his word will not return back void. God is not a God that he shall lie. He's proven to that us in Genesis, that no matter how far away that we may stray, no matter how many times we messed up, God, if he makes a promise, he's going to follow through on it. So it's not me just making, hey, God, can you do this for me? This is my request. But it's more like, God, no, I'm taking you by your word. You said it, not me. So why would I not believe that? Why would I not believe I can't cast this demon out? Why would I believe that I can't overcome this? You have said that I can. So it's not just, God, do this for me. It's, no, God, you said this. I believe you. So let's make it happen. But that takes a lot of faith to proclaim those types of things. But it kind of leads back to why the disciples were not able to cast this demon out. and why Jesus was so upset with them, because this kid is over here having to suffer because these disciples just don't get it. But like then again, that's us. How many times has Jesus been upset at us because we just don't get it?
Going
And
back to leaning on our own understanding, and it's weird how we bring up the prayer concept again too, because just like I think I don't know what day it was, but it was like kind of cool, kind of sprinkling, and I don't know, I was on cloud nine, and out of nowhere I'm like, you know what, Jesus, thank you. Like I just said out of nowhere, and I was like, I haven't prayed and gave you thanks for a while. I haven't really, you know, giving him many thanks for the opportunities and blessings. And I was like, I had the window open. It was cool. Just a little sprinkling. I had just got done making some steak and eggs, right? Winding down. And I was like, man, I'm happy, right? I was like, I genuinely could say I'm happy. Even though I had a rough 2 weeks, in the grand scheme of things, those are growing pains. So I'm not really worried about it. But I'm like, man, when's the last time I've actually taken a step back? I took a deep breath. I'm like, all right, thank you. Like, you've done a lot for me. I'm constantly head down. What's next? What's next? What's next? But I'm like, something as simple as having the window open when it's raining, eating, some steak and eggs that you made, watching your favorite TV show or whatever. Kind of is like, man, these simple things right here. It's like, man, this is what life's worth living, right? Yeah, it doesn't have to be no extravagant cruise or 5-star vacation, although it would be nice and they'll come. But it's just that little moment right there. I'm like, man, I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be with my boys. I'm happy we're making things happen. So I was like, man, I did a prayer without requesting anything, without asking for anything, without, being sad. I was just giving thanks. Like, thank you for this food. Thank you. Just thank you, right? And I don't know what came over for me to do that. It just happened out of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, those kind of reminding you about the fruits that we keep talking about. I'm picking the little cherry ones right now, not the big ripe ones yet, but the small little cherry ones are just as good.
carry you, and that that in and of itself is everything that you could ever ask for. The fact that you're alive is it's a gift. It is genuinely a gift, because if you die, then boom, there goes all your dreams, all your goals, everything that you ever, all the stresses, all the worries that you've ever had.
Everything.
It just disappears. There it is. It's gone. And now you're, God willing, you'll be in heaven, and boom, now you'll be experience the rest of eternity being in the presence of Jesus. But whenever you're alive, that you have all those things and it's in the forefront of your mind, and it's hard to have perspective like that. But to, be, I commend you for, being able to do that.
Thank you. And it just happened out of nowhere. Like I've never really been like that. I've never really, but I'm like, man, life's been good. Is bumpy and wonky as it's been lately, but I don't know what came across for me to compel me to do that, but it just happened. I'm like, man, you know what? All that talk about us reaping the fruits and our benefits and this and that. And, well, I mean, it's our garden. Well, why can't we do a little taste test every now and then? You know, you paid for it, you planted it, you might as well as eat it.
But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because perspective is something that is, it's hard to have, especially in those rough moments. But you look back at it, bro. 2 weeks compared to the rest of your life, who cares really? At the end of the day, there's no need to dwell on it so much. But
That's what I try to tell myself a lot too. Is when you have like a specific event or a deadline or something that's kind of hanging over you,
mhm,
it's like, man, these 2 weeks in the ground. A few months from now, this won't even matter.
yeah.
So
But proceeding forward, at the very end of this chapter, we read something that we read before in Matthew, where Jesus has this child on his lap, and he says, "Whoever causes one of these little ones who believe to stumble, it will be better for him if a heavy millstone hung around his neck, he had been cast into the sea. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life crippled than having your two hands to go into hell, into the unquenchable fire. If your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. It is better for you to enter a life lame than having your 2 feet to be cast into hell. If your eye causes you to stumble, throw it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than having two eyes and be cast into hell, where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if the salt becomes unsalty, with what will you make it salty again? Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another." And in mine, it has these little they're like in brackets between 43 and 45 and 47. It says, where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. It repeats that over and over, as it says in 48. But just, I think it's, I don't know. We know that the standard is perfection, right? And we know that we have these vices that we have to overcome, submit them to God. But I just wanted to ask if there was anything specifically that you had encountered in your life that you would say that you had to cut off, that you had to gouge out to protect yourself, to stay in that relationship with God. Is there anything that you can think of that you had to go to that extent? Hello?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel as if I naturally just do it without too much intention behind it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like I don't know, I can just think of, for example, social media, unfollowing a lot of just negative influencers, uh even females, just unfollowing, just for example, like that lustful stuff, not allowing my eyes to even be tempted by that. So, I mean, I like how I'm mentioning, I've done multiple things like that, for example, but it's not necessarily where I'm like very intentional about it, like, oh, I have to get rid of this, I have to get rid of this, I have to get rid of this. But I just do it in a way, and I realize, hey, this is way healthier than this. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think of it too much as where I'm like, oh, I need to cut this out completely. But I mean, that's how I see those things.
I think I'm a little bit lucky because I've never really had an addictive personality. So anything that I've tried or have experienced, as much as I've liked it, never really been a problem. Like where I have to keep doing it. Um, the whole going out thing too. So for a lot of people that'd be something like, oh, going out, giving it up was hard. I'm so used to going out and I like to have fun. That was the easiest thing for me ever. Like I love being inside. I love being in my room. I love just chilling. Watching a movie, playing a game, whatever. That's my version of a Friday night, not going out to the club, right? So that was easy for me. I guess it would have to be the thing I would go to first is people. Like I've had to cut off family, more so even like my dad's side of the family. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I haven't really been around as much as I used to growing up. I think if anything, I only go around on major holidays. Like I think last time, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, like holidays like that. I didn't really even go around for the fourth. We spent it with my immediate family, the one I'm around with a lot now. But it's gotten to that point where, you sometimes, and it's hard because I'm the youngest, I'm the baby, so a lot of people still see, little chunky Jerome with the blonde highlights and the glasses and the, goggle glasses. But it's that's one of my biggest steps is like, I'm not that little kid no more. I'm Jerome now. I'm big Jerome. I got feelings, I got beliefs, and if you don't like that, it's cool. Don't fight me over it. But if aligning with you, even if you are family or a friend, is gonna take me away from God, then I'm gonna have to put a stop to it. I'll do my best to bring you with me, but everybody makes their own choices, and not everybody's gonna be down with that. I'll do my best, but for sure it's been people and social media. Like that's one of the things that if it wasn't for business and family, I don't think I would have a lick of it. I think except YouTube. YouTube's my goat, my baby. So, but as far as like Snapchat, Facebook, all that, Instagram, I wouldn't have it because, like Rose said, it's a lot of temptation out there. Even if you're trying to avoid it, as much as you want to avoid it, it's like that's what they try to push out on purpose, just because they know how easy it is. But I know that those are the two big things that would be hard for a lot of people to cut off is like social media and family. But those are the things that can easily take you away from God the most, especially family.
Now, I want to ask y'all one more question before we close. Verses 49 and 50. in chapter 9, Jesus says, "For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if the salt becomes unsalty, with what will you make it salty again? Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another." What do you think that means?
I was actually gonna ask about that too, and about 48, where the worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. I guess that whole little thing we could talk about. Hmm.
Everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how can you make it salty again? Have salt among yourselves and be at peace with each other. So everyone will be salted with fire. So I'm guessing the salt's fire. Fire is good. But if it loses its saltiness, so I'm guessing if it loses its flame, how can you make it flame again? Have that flame among yourselves and be at peace with each other. So that's how I see that. Like, you can use, like, have life, have that light in yourself. But if you lose it, how can you bring it back again, maybe? And have life among yourselves, and be at peace with each other. So I don't know. That's how I connect it, because it says salted with fire. So I'd connect fire and salt, make them together. Fire is good, and when I think of fire, like among ourselves, I think of like life, have that spirit among yourself. That is good. But if you lose that, how can you bring it back to life again? Right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's kind of how I would break it down and try to understand it myself.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go. Cause I mean, I thought of two ideas of like, well, salt is one of those things where it's really good, but it can also kill you. I don't know if it's going that direction. You know, it's a quick way to health problems. Or maybe it doesn't mention sugar, but maybe I don't know if there's a connection between like be careful between salt and sugar. We know we can see that a lot, but it's definitely interesting for sure. I can see where you're coming from about salt was good, and it's actually a natural mineral too, like a rock. So it's more important than we think. In my opinion, I think it has a bad reputation because we overuse it. But I think it actually has a lot more health benefits than we think, especially if you're using like the mineral salt, like the Himalayan salt and all that. And actually, too, in the lab, not 100% sure on this, but I think he said too that there's a misconception that pink salt is not really that healthy. So, just a little quick fact. But since we're on the topic of salt,
Well, I just looked it up real quick through ChatGPT, through what should we call ChatGPT? You know how we always say that it's like Jamie from Joe Rogan.
clanker,
We'll come up with the
we'll call
name
him clanker,
Clanker.
clanker.
Well, we need to do some work on that. But anyways, it says that where their worm does not die. Jesus is quoting Isaiah 66:24, describing the final judgment of the ones who reject God. The worm represents ongoing decay and corruption. The unquenchable fire represents God's judgment that cannot be stopped. Jesus isn't trying to describe every detail of hell's appearance. He's emphasizing how serious sin is and why he had just said it is better to lose a hand, foot, or eye than for sin to lead you away from God. The point is, sin has eternal consequences if it is never repented of. Everyone will be salted with fire is one of the most difficult verses in this chapter, and there are a few interpretations. The most common understanding is that fire represents testing and purification. In the Old Testament, sacrifices were seasoned with salt before being offered to God. Salt represents covenant, faithfulness, and purity. Jesus may be saying that every person will experience fire. For believers, that fire is the trials and discipline that purify their faith. For unbelievers, the fire is judgment. Either way, everyone will be facing God's refining or judging fire. have so yeah, those are two.
I'm not sure if that explanation's sufficient for me. I feel like it's too technical. I feel
Chat.
like
He did
you
a terrible
bought,
job.
you bought Clanky.
AI can't do everything.
I mean, it had a good. I was following along, right? But then it was picking up those little
So
nuances of like, okay, salt means this, this, and this. If you're reading it off face value and you have no context of Isaiah, I guess it put it, you would not be able to make those connections.
but I think that's also what's important to know, why it's so important to know the Old Testament, because Jesus, he said that he doesn't say anything that the Father hasn't said. So whenever he's speaking, it's it's him just it's him basically quoting the Old Testament. It's like, remember the whenever I had said that Jesus saying, "Oh God," or my God, why have you forsaken me?" was a psalm. If you didn't know that, then you would just think that you would take that at face value and say that, "Oh, he's saying that God had forsaken him." How could that be possible? A lot of people use that as a way to point that Jesus isn't God by saying that exact statement. But if you don't know better, then well, shoot, you just miss it. It goes over your head. So I think him quoting Isaiah is something that we could look at and say, okay, that's that's a pretty powerful representation of what Jesus uses as his authority. What's his authority? The word. That's what he always speaks. So I think that's that in and of itself, him being technical as far as like what does the worm represent? Well, it's referenced in the Old Testament. What does the salt represent? Jesus had said that at the very beginning, to be the salt and the light of the earth. Why does he say that? Because salt makes things taste better. It makes things we should be able to go into a room and make things be better, right? And then he with fire, like how he mentioned in this case, he was talking about fire and hell, like the unquenchable fire as God's judgment. But fire in this way, whenever it said that, that's something that fortifies you, which is true with what are they called? Was it blacksmiths or whichever ones that use fire to forge weapons?
That blacksmiths with the anvils.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, well, that actually makes sense because back in the day, you had to use fire to forge your weapons and your shields and your armor and stuff like that. So that makes sense. It's like a twofold type of thing. For believers, you can read this and say everyone will be salted with fire. Well, okay, so I'm gonna have to go through trials and tribulations, but my faith will be fortified. For non-believers, you read that and say everyone will be salted with fire. Well, shoot, I'm gonna have this unquenchable fire of judgment because of my ways, my sinful ways, if I don't repent. So I think those are. I mean, I think it's a good explanation.
Yeah, this one took quite a bit of thinking though. A
But I
little
think
bit.
how he says like salt is good. But if the salt becomes unsalty, with what will you make it salty again? Have salt in yourselves. I think it's kind of how Raul said it, like with the flame. I think that's also a good interpretation of it. Like if that flame goes out, then if you don't have it within you, then that's it, right? Like if you're talking literally, uh, let's say with the salt, right? If you run out of salt, well, shoot, this probably ain't gonna taste that good. So you better be able to have some stored within you so that you can make it taste good. So I don't know, but I like how he ends it. Just be at peace with one another.
Yeah, yeah. There's just a
He
lot
says
of
all of these things.
this is all this deep thinking,
Yeah,
critical thinking, analyzing, but just be at peace.
be at peace with be at peace
peace
with
be
yourself.
with you. He's like, ignore all the complex, critical thinking, analyzing.
Yeah, all the talks
Just
of hell. But he says be at peace with one another.
yeah.
So I guess if there's anything that we can take from this, is that's the most straightforward thing he said. Be at peace with one another. So let's
Yeah,
take that.
you can take that.
We could take that and run with it. Be at peace with one another. So if you couldn't get anything out of that, be at peace with one another. But yeah, that was a great reading, and again, just he says it in a visceral way to cut off your hand or cut off your foot, gouge your eye out, but that's the extent of which he's saying how sin separates you from God and where it's going to lead you. It's better to have no hand, no feet, no eye than to not be able to be in the presence of God once you die and instead be in the place of weeping and gnashing in teeth with the unquenchable fire. So he's just reiterating how important it is to look at yourself in the mirror, reevaluate yourself. If there's something that is in your life that shouldn't be in there, cut it off. If there's a sin that is having a vice grip on you, cut it off. It's better to go through that pain. It's better to go through the fire that fortifies you than go through the unquenchable fire of judgment. So, but yeah, any closing thoughts before we finish?
May God be with you along your journey. And remember, the seed of a mustard, the faith of a mustard seed can conquer mountains.
And just remember, be at peace with one another. The main idea of the Mark chapter 9.
What they said. We love y'all. Catch you on the next one. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with all your friends, family members. We'll see you next week on the number one podcast in the world.